feel that it was really necessary. I mean, he has red blood cells, so oxygen isn't really going to help too much with the pneumonia. It was more for his red blood cells were so low that they kind of wanted to help keep giving him oxygen so that way his red blood cells can help regenerate and have oxygen in the blood cells that he had. But I did just check his blood work, and his PCV is holding at 31.
Wow, that's
so
great.
That's good.
That's
it's
great.
really good, especially
You guys did
since
another transfusion.
Plasma.
Yes, yesterday we did a transfusion, and right after the transfusion, I checked his PCV and it was 28. So I'm not sure what they got this morning, but the blood work that I just ran was 31.
Which means he's making it now on his own.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and hopefully it stays that way. We are doing blood work, I believe, every either 4 to 6 hours, I believe, just to keep checking everything periodically. But you were asking about the skin.
Right.
So he's not oozing as much around like his body.
Body.
Drier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. His face is still pretty oozing. Like when I rotate him and I lift him up, I mean, there's a, you know, a nice,
On the,
you know,
on the, yeah.
a little bit of, you know, serous fluid. I did notice some fluid coming out of the nose, but it's not new. I don't know if anyone's talked to you about that. It's probably still part of the pneumonia.
Right.
And especially kind of when you move him and you shake everything around, he kind of like coughs a little bit, which is good. We want him to cough it out.
Right.
What's going on as far as like bowel movements and things like that?
Still has not had a bowel movement, so we're still keeping him on the Reglan, which would help like increase.
He has not had a bowel movement since he's been here?
He had a bowel movement when he first came in.
Because they said they found bones and coffee grounds
Yeah,
and
it
blood
was like
and
it looked like
tar?
like tar, like just coming out, and he had a lot. Like when he initially came in,
Right.
and they had him on the floor so they could like apply the catheter and everything, and he was just oozing out so much.
And I know they said he was loaded with hookworms, so they gave him a very strong
so,
dewormer.
Yeah, so he's on fenbendazole. He should get his last one tomorrow.
Okay.
And then he's on the Carafate as well, which helps coat the stomach.
Okay.
And help protect with like acid production and stuff like that.
Okay.
So his temperature is varying, or like
His
what-
body temperature
his
is
body
very...
temperature.
He can't really keep his temperature.
Yeah, he can't
regulated.
keep it up. So if I were to take the bear hugger off and it would be off for a while, his temperature would start to drop.
Okay.
But as long as I have the bear hugger on, the temperature like continues to increase up to the point where last night I had him at 100 degrees, which is amazing. So it's just
so
hard
painful.
that when he doesn't have it on, it won't stay. It wants to go down. So that's the hard part. But we have been the norepinephrine CRI, which is what is helping keep his blood pressure up. They've been slowly decreasing that. Last night I had it at 0.14 mils an hour, and they've gotten down to 0.09 mils an hour, and his blood pressure is still staying up.
Right.
That's
That's
good.
good news.
So hopefully we can, you know, still start to slowly decrease that. The problem with norepinephrine is you can't just stop it. You have to taper it off to the point where they don't need it anymore. Like if he was on the 0.09 mils an hour and he's staying consistent with his blood pressure, if they were to just stop it, it could just drop again. It has to be slowly tapered off.
Hey, Patterson. Hey, handsome boy. Buddy. Hi, buddy.
So what I was saying, like about the menace, when you do this, they should respond. They should blink or move or do something. So the fact that he doesn't do that and he doesn't have the pupil light response is what's indicating the fact that he's probably blind. But like I said, we can't tell if it's permanent or not. We just have to see how he does.
So
Guys,
we take that day by day.
Pretty
day by
much,
day.
yeah.
Guys, we're here at Lauderdale Veterinary Specialists. I was running the video, and Felicia, who's tending to Patterson, has been talking. I hope you were able to hear everything she was saying, medical terms. But when we walked in, she told us that he's not reacting to his eyes. They're not sure if he can see. We were talking about how when we saw him and he was running across the street dodging cars and he saw us coming, we don't know if this is just part of what's going on with his body right now and if it's permanent. But right now, as you say, when you do the,
It's called a menace.
A menace.
Yeah, a menace response. So if I do this, he doesn't blink.
Okay.
He doesn't respond at all. Another thing is this down here was more swollen yesterday.
Mhm.
Like he had a lot of edema, just like fluid, everything in there.
Mhm.
It's gone down tremendously, at least
Okay.
by half. So at least stuff like that is improving. And you can kind of see like his skin a little bit looks a little
Oh,
better.
So
Yeah.
emaciated.
Yeah, but it
though.
looks
Yeah.
so, his skin looks much
It
better.
does look better.
Thank you, God.
Thank you, God is right. It's like all his hair that he had fell off of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, his body isn't oozing as much, but his face and his legs are still oozing.
I just want to see him
good.
fatten up. He's so skinny. He's just so emaciated. And he's on the feeding tube, so.
Yeah, he's on the feeding tube. They did increase, so he's on. He's not on clinic care anymore. He's on the recovery. So it's really high in calorie, and they
Good.
started off on 1 meal an hour. And since he has not had any issues with regurging or vomiting or anything like that, they did increase it to 2 meals an hour.
So we're 2 meals an hour on the feeding tube of recovery for food to try to put on some weight on him. It's just a process. That's all we can do.
It is.
It's going to be a very long journey. Here.
It's a waiting game.
Yeah.
You know, and it sucks
It
because
sucks so bad.
But we have some good indications.
Yeah,
with
of improvement. You
his
know.
skin, with
and that's
everything.
it's so
Can't
it's so
give up
hard to
on
say
him.
because he fluctuates. Like at one
Right.
moment something is really good and
I
it's
know.
moving up, and then the next moment it's going down.
Right.
Like his blood pressure,
Right.
his creatinine, his levels. I mean, he was a little acidotic before, but now his pH is at a pretty good level. So there are things that are improving,
Sweet baby.
but it's so hard to say because he kind of does whatever he wants.
Right.
So it's even hard to get these levels out. They tried to decrease the pain medication, and so it's at 2 meals an hour now. They tried to go down to 1. He just started crying
I don't
and
want
seemed
them
really
to.
uncomfortable. Well, they wanted to see if, because he was so dull at that level, that they wanted to see if maybe they lowered it a little bit, that he would kind of perk up and maybe try to sit up on his own.
They have to test it to see, and then
Yeah.
Guys, these are all
So-
the machines and all the tubes.
Yeah.
Can we pull this down just for a second again? I just want to. So this is the bear hugger. You can see his skin is healing because I'm working around the clock. But I don't know if you can actually even see how emaciated. You can see every rib, every indentation in his body. But he's being fed like what? 2 mil? You said 2
2 meals
meals
an
an hour. His legs are wrapped in bandages with the honey, and he's on the feeding tube, as you see. He's still battling pneumonia, and it's just going to be a waiting game, and we're just going to keep going until hopefully he's going to snap out of this and just surprise us all. We've seen it before, Carol.
Yeah.
We've seen it before. There's no reason he can't get through this.
he deserves a fight.
He deserves a fighting chance.
Yeah, so as I was saying, like they wanted to lower it just because I couldn't even do this.
Oh, wow.
So
Baby.
yeah, so they think that he's probably around like maybe a year old.
Yeah, they said a year under, yeah.
But you can kind of see the undertones of like
Beautiful.
yellow.
Yeah.
So he's pretty icteric. His blood, when you spin it down, his serum is like neon yellow, like as
Really?
neon yellow as his pee is. So that's indicating a bad liver.
Really?
So that's why he's on like the acetylcysteine and drugs to try and help his liver. But
So you
yeah,
think he has liver problems too?
oh yeah.
Oh, God.
But that can be.
Can that adjust itself, or no? Is that like long term?
I mean, with help, with like the acetylcysteine is really good for the liver. So with help from drugs, it could potentially get better. But right now,
Once
it's all
everything starts
supportive.
functioning,
Yeah,
It's
it's
probably-
all supportive care.
This
you know.
is just from everything he's endured his whole life to be in this condition. His
Yeah, and I'm
body-
sure he probably never had human interaction.
Never.
And if he did, it probably wasn't good human interaction.
look
Because
at
he
him.
was very feral.
Oh, yeah.
He wanted to attack
Oh
us.
yeah.
So,
He's never bit.
huh?
He never bit anybody then.
No, I mean, he attempted to, but I think his...
So guys, one day at a time, that's all we can do, and we'll continue to update you. Like we said, you know, this is 24-hour care. We were going to come this morning, but we were told he was in treatment, so we could not. And what time is it now? 8:30?
About 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. So we're here now to visit and see how he's doing, and this is our update. All we can do is pray and just allow him to get everything that he needs, and hope that every day he improves. So please, please, please This is a very costly process. You have no idea. Every time we walk in here, we need your support. Please donate and pray for Patterson. This is Amy and Carol with 100 Plus Abandoned Dogs of Everglades, Florida.